Back inside the studio at the Jack J. Valenti School of Communication, joined now by offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Major Applewhite in his second season with the University of Houston. This is part of the Houston National Signing Day webcast brought to you by Pena's Donut Heaven and Grill. And Coach Applewhite, I'm looking at the class, and probably as good as a quarterback class with a three-year guy coming in as anybody in the nation. And you know, you take a look at the three guys you have coming in, they're going to be fighting for jobs down the road. But I wanted to ask you first, whenever you're evaluating these guys, taking a look at them, whether it's in the case of King or Sells, looking at their high school footage, or in the case of Allen, maybe going back, I'm sure you're familiar with him whenever he was coming out of high school, but also with his season over at Texas A&M. Some things that you're looking for being a quarterback under your system.
Well, you know, there's a lot of different qualities that a quarterback has, and you know, from arm strength to foot speed to you know, athletic ability that he can, and in terms of the quarterback run game. But the main thing that we look for is some of those intangibles, trying to develop relationships with these guys and find out what kind of competitive nature they have, what type of leadership skills they may have. They're all going to have, you know, great football skills and quarterback skills, but we want to find out kind of who they are inside the helmet, because they're going to lead our offense.
You know, you've coached the position at a high level. You played the position at a high level. In terms of intangibles, is this the most important position on the football field to have some quality intangibles?
You know, we don't want to get into the whole this is the most important position, but it's obviously, as you just look at any level, college or professional level, when that position plays well, that team usually has a chance to win championships. So. You know, obviously, those are the intangibles are the things that we look for. It is an extremely important position, but the main thing in creating your quarterback staff that we want to have is competition. Mm-hmm. Competition and experience, and those two things usually matter when it comes time for championships. I mean, whether the guy can run or whether the guy's a pocket guy or dual threat, we don't get lost in tags. We want to find guys that have the competitive traits, the leadership traits, and then we'll figure out whatever we need to do schematically around that guy to get the ball in the end zone. So. That's the first thing that we look for is, does that guy have the ability to be a leader? Can we picture him leading our offense in a championship situation? You
know, that was a question I wanted to ask you about, because you talk about the intangibles and the trio of guys that have it, but also the wide array of attributes that they do have. And you spoke to it, foot speed, sure. Arm strength, and it doesn't matter under your system. You're going to find a way to get it done no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah, I think when you look at your quarterbacks, there's bare minimum things that you take, you know, in terms of, all right, this is the bare minimum foot speed that we're willing to negotiate in terms of that position. This is the bare minimum arm strength. This is the bare minimum that we're willing to go in terms of certain dimensions. All right, now that guy starts to teeter that line. All right, does he have other attributes that maybe it doesn't matter if he's 5'11", 175 pounds. Maybe he's Greg Ward and that has these type of athletic abilities, so you're willing to negotiate there. Well, maybe he is, you know, a 5', 4'9" guy. Yeah, but his arm's big, quick release, sees things well, anticipates throws. So, yeah, there's a sliding scale that goes into it. But ultimately, you know, we believe as an offense, and that's from the top down, from the head coach all the way down. You know, we'll fit it around those type of qualities. We'll figure out whatever we need to do to move the football, run, pass. Quarterback run game, tailback run game. We'll figure that out. That's the easy part. Go get a quality competitor. Go get a guy who's going to be a great leader and a guy who's won. And all these guys that are coming in the quarterback class have won. They've won state championships. They've played for state championships. They understand what championship behavior is, championship habits. So therefore, they're going to be able to acclimate to our climate and our culture very well. And they'll come in and they'll thrive. And they'll continue to build on what they built in their high school and in this case, some college years.
Looking at the quarterbacks you've had in your career, you can see there's a wide range of talent. Also, the same thing goes for Coach Herman. I wanted to take a look, watch some of the video footage of the three quarterbacks that you have coming in to be a Cougar. We'll start with Kyle Allen. Of course, everybody saw him play this season a little bit in College Station with Texas A&M. A lot of people forget he was the #1 recruit coming out of high school not too long ago. What do you see in Kyle Allen?
Well, you know, Kyle, #1, I mean, just talking about what you're seeing on tape right now, you know, tremendous skill sets, great release, very accurate anticipator. You know, a lot of times as a quarterback, you know, most of the game is anticipated. Very, very seldom is it reactionary. So you've got to understand what you're seeing pre-snap, the experience that this guy has playing at the collegiate level already, understanding the speed of the game, the anticipation and timing that you have to have on throws, what open really is at the college level versus the high school level. He has that, but very, you know, this term gets thrown around, but cerebral guy, already in there learning, understanding he has a year that he can't play, but in there trying to learn and grasp the system so he's ready to go next spring.
What do you want to see out of a quarterback who does have that year where they have to sit, not necessarily in Kyle's spot where he's required to sit, but maybe some other guys down the road when they're young and probably not going to get onto the field a whole lot right away? What do you want them looking at it, whether it's out on the practice field, in the film room, or during games?
Well, there's a bunch of things. I mean, one thing when you're coming from another school and you're kind of coming in your own class, at the semester, and you're not coming in with an entire class, rather, you kind of get lost in the shuffle. So one thing is becoming a part of the team, learning your new teammates, the camaraderie, especially at that position. So wanting him to get acclimated with the team, learn his teammates. You're going to call on these guys. They're going to call on you. They're going to trust you. So developing those bonds. And then obviously, the system, how we practice, how we do off season, how we study, just our overall culture, those type of things. And that is something that every position coach, including the head coach, worries about, because whether you're a transfer or whether you're a redshirt, there's a tendency to get lost in that year and not be able to see a year down the road when you're competing for that job. So I think all these guys are bright. De'Eric, Bowman, Kyle Postma, they all understand. Right now Greg is a starter, but next spring is going to be serious. They know that's coming around the corner, so they're bright guys. They get it. That's
an interesting thing that you bring up in the fact that there's a lot of little things in coaching that people never see. They think it's all game planning or going out and recruiting, but a lot of times it's keeping the other guys in the room who might be a year or two away from being part of that culture like you're talking about. Let's move on. De'Eric King, a quarterback out of Manville, nearby Manville, had one of the best high school quarterback careers in a really long time. They lost out to Katie, who he went up against one of the defenders that also signed with this recruiting class. And De'Eric King, what are some things that you liked about him when you watched him play?
Well, number one, tremendous quarterback, leader, competitor. Those are the things that you try to find out as much as you can. You're limited so much in your contact with these guys in terms of direct messages through Twitter. You're very seldom are you able to have a lot of personal interaction. But when I did have personal interaction with De'Eric, his command presence, his leadership, those are the things that stood out to me in terms of him as a football player. You turn on the tape, it's all the same. All these highlights that we're watching today, they're all the same. They're going to score touchdowns.
Right.
They're going to make sacks. They're going to intercept balls. It's a highlight tape. But the thing that sticks out with this young man is just at every level, regardless whether it's track, regardless whether it's basketball, football, it's highly competitive. And you can't ever go wrong. And that's one trait that we talk about as a coaching staff with our team this year and some of the success that we had. Yeah, we had great talent, but we had tremendous competitors. And we want to bring these kind of guys on campus. Tremendous quarterback, can throw the ball, brings a lot of the same skill set that Greg Ward does. He
was a four-star recruit, member of the ESPN Top 300, one of the top players in the Houston Chronicles Top 100 list. One more I wanted to get into, Bowman Sells, who's out of Lovejoy High School in Lucas, Texas, was a mid-year guy, and he chose U of H over a lot of big schools. I think you guys were one of the first to be on him. Bowman Sells, what's the evaluation on him?
Well, long evaluation. When I was at Texas, coaching quarterbacks, had a chance to evaluate him in high school. When Coach Herman was at Ohio State, had a chance to evaluate him. And the thing about Bowman is he's had a lot of at-bats. This guy's played, he's one of those guys you wonder, when is he ever going to quit playing high school football? He played as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Seen a lot of coverages, seen a lot of blitzes, seen a lot of 2-minute drills. And those are things that you just can't take for granted. Very tough, physical player, throws the ball well, has plenty of arm for what we do. But the thing that I really like about Bowman is the experience factor. He's kind of a quiet guy. And kind of still waters run deep with him, but very competitive guy and big physical guy, and he'll contribute really well to our quarterback room.
It's interesting when you said, I wonder if his high school career is ever going to end. It was kind of like Case Keenum's college career.
Right.
Wondering if
as long as he's winning the way he did at Lovejoy and the way Case won here, we're fine with that.
Right. One final question for you. You hear this term a lot, projectability. How is a guy going to project at the next level? How is he going to project going to a new school? Is that something you can forecast at all?
No, when we sit down and talk to these recruits as a staff, we tell them, how well you play and how early you play is up to you. We're no different from a lot of other coaching staffs. We're going to give you the teaching that you need. We're going to give you the skills that you need. We're going to give you the off-season and weight room development that you need. But how you attack that is, and how early you play and how well you play is directly dependent upon you. If you're good enough, you're old enough. So it's a very simple deal with us, and that's the way we approach every recruit. So we're not afraid to put a true freshman out there. At the same time, we're not stupid. We look at certain situations and at developmental positions, guys have to sit. But this class, there's a lot of winners. When you just look at the win-loss record on this in this class, there's a lot of football games that have been won, and there's just a lot of lessons that are learned in those wins, and some in those losses as well. But when you have those championship type programs that these guys are coming from, and you're blessed to be able to recruit them from these high schools, they kind of fit right in to what you're doing, and there's less teaching and less kind of reprogramming.